Hit it.
There's been a lot of talk this week about motion in an offense before and how you guys don't use it. I was wondering if you could explain just your philosophy on it and kind of the pros and cons you see.
Yeah, I feel like I've answered this question about 5 times in this setting, and that's fine. I'll continue to. And I get it. There's going to be scrutiny when we're not playing and coaching well enough, because that's the case right now. We're not coaching well enough. We're not playing well enough. And but motions. There are many different ways you would motion. Sometimes it's to gather information. Sometimes it's to set up an advantage. Whatever it could be. There's other ways to gather information besides motion that teams do all the time, and that's something that we do. It could be by formation, right? It's just because a guy moves doesn't necessarily give you the answer. It could be if a guy is removed from the core, it can give you the answer. If a guy is tight to the core, it gives you the answer. This formation can give you an answer. We spend an obscene amount of time trying to find answers for the quarterback and for our offense of what the defense is based off of different looks. Now, sometimes the answer is to motion, and so there's some games where we motion more than we don't. And it's a fair question because we do it less than everybody in the NFL, and so I would say that these last 2 games have not been up to our standard. But for the past 2 years, we've been one of the best offenses in the NFL, and we've been in the same place with motion the entire time. I 100% understand the scrutiny of it, and you have to ask that question. I appreciate the question, but that's where our philosophy is on it. And I know in 3 months I might have to answer this question again, and I have no problem with that. But that's without giving too much information, Elliot. That's my philosophy on it. And why you see us a little bit less down there, but I guess what I'm saying at the whole scheme of this is you can get answers without movement.
Nick, a little bit along those lines, you obviously have been a successful offense since you've been here, but when things aren't going well, how do you balance making those changes versus not making sure you don't get away from what has worked?
Yeah, that's a good question. Again, the changes you're looking for, you're just trying to get the guys involved. I'm trying to, give me the question one more time.
Okay.
Let me make sure I understand I want to make sure I answer your question.
Sure. You've had a successful offense since you've been here. The last few weeks have not been up to that standard. So how do you balance making some changes to make the offense more effective, but not getting away from what?
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Again, you want to do the things that you've been successful with, right? And you want to find ways to repeat those things. You want to find ways to complement those things. And so that's always going to be on our mind. What do we do well? But then every defense is going to give you different challenges and different things of how you want to attack. So that's where it always starts. And then when you hear criticism, criticism. Okay, let me take it back to when we're in a team meeting and I'm, correcting something in a team meeting. Well, that's a correcting criticism, whatever it is. That's a form of that, right? You grow from that, and so I will also listen to criticisms of the outside world. Now do I sit there and look at all the things? No, Bob has to prepare me for the questions I may get in here, and so. Criticisms never feel good at first, but if you can use them to your advantage, then we should. And that's kind of how I look at this, right? There's some criticisms out there. Like I answered the motion question, but there's some other things I'm like, maybe we can look at that. Maybe we can do a little bit more there. So I think that shows that we listen. We'll find every different way we can to improve what we're doing on offense. Now. Or defense, right? And so that's the same thing. We're not hitting a panic button as far as we got to do everything. We didn't play good we didn't play good and we didn't coach good the last 2 weeks. We didn't play good enough and we didn't coach good enough the last 2 weeks to win the games. And it wasn't up to our standards. So we're pissed and we're looking for ways to fix that. And like I said, we have our ideas of what we do, but then there's sometimes you look at different avenues of, whether it's the criticism from the outside or an analytical thing, and you're like, okay, maybe this. I'm not saying you can do that all the time, because there's an art to knowing what criticisms to listen to and what ones are jokes, for that matter, right? And so, but that's our job as coaches to go over everything we possibly can do to make sure we're playing our best.
Here's possibly one that maybe
I'm sure you'll have one that's interesting.
six or seven man rushes. You guys face them more than any team in the league, and your productivity is down versus what last year. Why do you think that is, and what can you do to improve upon that?
Yeah, I think the ones that we had the other day, let's just talk about the Dallas game. They had one free runner on, which is when they bring one more than you can protect. We had the route on that we would really like versus that. It got batted down at the line of scrimmage. Good play by their guy. I think that goes in ebbs and flows, to be quite honest with you. I feel really confident, like with our guys. Jason Kelce does an unbelievable job of getting a hat for a hat. There's nobody in the NFL like him of setting the table of where everyone should go. He's seen so much football, and obviously Jalen's back there too helping. But Jason's seen so much football and knows how to get a hat for a hat. We spend a lot of time on our blitz answers. And we feel really, really confident in the ones that we have. Again, there's different things that you get ready for. You get ready for secondary pressures. You get ready for different packages of pressures. You get ready for blitz zeros, and all those things you have to have an answer for. And all those things we go through in depth, in detail. And obviously, I think we hit a screen for a first down to AJ on one of them, and then we had one that was a short. On a blitz, which, I love the play call. I love the design of the play, but their guy made a good play on it, right? And so sometimes that play is going to work, and sometimes it's not, as far as the one with Devontae got tackled short of the line. But we're thinking about it constantly. That's always something that's at the beginning. Like when you do your blitz answers for first and second down pressures Monday. You do your pressure answers against different packages Tuesday, and we do our blitz zero stuff today. I like our process, and I like our the things that we do with it, and I like how our players set it up. And I know that will turn because I believe in the players that we have, I believe in the coaches that we have, and I believe in the process that we have.
How tough is it to you're incorporating Shaq now. You've added Julio, Bradley Roby, and Byard. How tough is that in season to keep incorporating you guys into the?
Yeah, no. I think that our guys have done a nice job of stepping in and being able to play. I credit to those guys that Howie has brought in, and a credit to the with the football IQ that they have, and then credit to Howie. Credit to our coaches to getting them ready. And I feel like we've brought the right guys in that have, fit in well. And so that again goes to Howie and his study of not just the player, but the person as well. And we feel like we feel really confident in the guys that we've brought in. And then the people I really didn't give the most credit to is the players, right? We have the right players here to bring the guys in to, with all those different things, So, again, that goes back to our leaders, our captains, our leaders of our football team. So I don't feel like it's a challenge because of all the things that we have in place here. And it's really about our players, how we doing all the work to make sure we got the right guy and the right player, and then our coaches getting the guys ready to play.
When it comes to target distribution, similar to motion, you probably told us 20 times it runs through AJ, Devontae, Dallas. That said, in a typical game, you're going to have 7-8 guys go back to San Francisco getting targets. So when you see it in one game where it's only those 3 guys, is that a problem for you, or is that?
It's not because, we always want to get guys involved. Listen, DeAndre needs to touch the ball more out of the backfield as far as a receiver. He's a dynamic player. Now, to say, though, that you have 20 dropbacks in a game and you're trying to plan for everybody, that's just not the reality. That you're planning for the guys to get the football. Like, you're planning for AJ to get the football. You're planning for, Devontae and Dallas to get the football. That doesn't mean we don't have other plays on our plan that aren't going to Julio or aren't going to Quez or anything like that. Sometimes those don't get called in a game, just the way the flow of the game goes. And so Jalen did a good job of reading out the defense, and the ball went where we thought it should go on those. I thought Jalen played a good game. And the ball went where it should go, versus the defenses we were getting, and that was to those guys. And that's, like, again, when you try to plan for every different guy, I'm not saying there's not options for other guys on the game plan, but there's a reason, we have Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert. Like, I wasn't lying to you guys when I said the plan is going to go through them. And in a game like you saw on Sunday night, it exclusively went through them, and that's rare, right? That doesn't happen often, but it did in this particular game. And again, like I said, it's rare, but we are always planning for those guys in these scenarios to get the football.
You said moments ago that you guys are pissed off. What's been the vibe?
Did I say that?
You did say it.
Okay.
A couple of,
Yeah, I'm sure you have it on tape.
What's been the mood and the vibe of the team and what you've sensed so far this week after the past 2 games?
We're pissed off. Right? We're pissed off that we haven't played and coached to our standard. And that's what you get when you have a bunch of competitive, highly, highly competitive people at the top of their field of their profession. And so we're pissed. And we know that being pissed only lasts for so long. You have to do something about it. And, we're going through some adversity right now. In adversity, we welcome adversity, right? You don't like it. Like, it's like the criticism a little bit. You don't like it when you first hear it, but then can you use it to help you grow? And there's no doubt adversity helps you grow as a team. So we're pissed that we haven't played or coached to our standard, and we're ready to go do something about it. And we can't do anything about it for the game right now. Only thing we can do about it right now is go out there and have a good practice and have good meetings, which we're just wrapping up meetings right now. And that's our focus, is just be where we are right now and do something about it by having the best day we can have today, so we put ourselves in position to go 1-0 this week.
Nick.
You guys didn't even want to let me finish. Who's going first? Rock, paper, scissors to see who goes first.
You mentioned the process a few questions ago, going through a couple of things in practice. Sean and I mentioned yesterday that there were some methods that he had to test out his game plans during the week. What are some of those methods that you guys have as coaches to kind of assess what you guys are doing in your game plans? And do you get to a point at some point where you've tried so many different things that you feel tangled with some of the solutions you've come up with?
Yeah, the way you can mess with practice schedules, you can mess with stuff like that, but as far as what you're doing to get the guys ready to go in the game, you're trying to challenge them with all the looks they could see in the game. If this makes sense to you, you're trying to put them in every scenario. So as a defense, you're trying to put them in every scenario they could be. Like, let's say you're playing cover 3, you're trying to match every route versus cover 3 that they could run. And then you try to throw them some unknowns that you're guessing. Well, maybe they could, I don't want to say guessing, you're making educated guesses. Well, this could come at us too, because maybe we saw this in week 4 and it beat us on this. So everything you're trying to do as a coach is give them the answers to the test as much as you possibly can, so that when they go out there, it's just identifying what the question is. And then giving them some unknowns. So that's what you go through at practice. You're doing that offensively. All right, how do we run this play versus this front or that front or this front or that blitz or this coverage, right? And now the combinations of that are endless, right? But you're still making educated guesses based off of what the team does and what the team could do. And then you're trying to test your players of just maybe throwing some stuff in every once in a while that like I said, that are that are completely unknowns to test their rules of within the play. And so, that's kind of how we go about the process of getting guys ready for plays and practice. And then it goes to, you also have individual. You guys are out during the individual part. I'm sure you guys would like to stay for the entire practice. We don't let you. Right, Bob? All right, and so there's this portion of individual that we're getting them ready for the fundamentals of what they have to go out and do, the tackling, the catching, the blocking, the throwing, right, against the different looks that they could get there. So it's one thing to mentally know what they have to do, but then they have to go physically do it with their fundamentals. So those are the different ways we get the guys ready to go practice-wise.
Locker rooms open. And speaking about the practice schedule, it seems like it's different today than typical Wednesday. Why the change?
Yeah, again, you can easily change schedules to get what you need, and we're not locked into any schedule. Everything's fluid in attempts to getting better, right? And so we feel like I feel like here, this is a chance for us to get better in the sense of we need to go out there and work our fundamentals. We're late in the year, which sometimes late in the year you don't have this opportunity, right? Because you got to balance them being rested. You got to balance them playing fresh while also being ready physically and mentally ready to go. And so this one, we have an extra day. We have a little extra time with a little extra rest from last game. And that's why we're going out there today and having a practice, whereas in later parts of December, we haven't typically had that here in my past 2 years. But, we felt like we wanted to get out there today to work some fundamental things. And does that mean that's going to happen next week? No, every week's a little bit different. Every week allows you to do for different things, but we feel as a football team we need to do that this week.
Nick, one of the things that I'm sure drives most coaches crazy is when you see false starts or encroachments. How tough is that to clean up in a stadium with the noise level of what you'll find in Seattle?
Yeah, it's gonna be loud. It's gonna be noisy. Anytime, like the reality of our game is there's gonna be pre-snap penalties. I think what we looked up, Bob, we're what, 8th in penalties right now. So our guys are doing a good job playing by the rules. It's a credit to the players that you have and them understanding the rules and them being able to physically do that. So, we know pre-snap penalties are going to happen both sides of the football. You're trying to limit them as much, but there's no doubt it's going to be loud, it's going to be noisy, it's going to be rowdy in Seattle. And so we have to prep that in practice. It's the same question over, that I answered earlier. You try to prep them for everything that can happen in a game. So, it could rain this game, so you're going to probably see us having Aaron Moorhead throwing the water at the punt returners to simulate the water hitting them in the eye and also the ball being wet. We're going to have wet ball drills, and you do the same thing with the noise. So you have to be able to execute while it's there, and we try to simulate that as much as we can in practice, understanding that I don't know if we can get it as loud as Seattle will be, but we're going to have it loud, but I'm not sure we can get it that loud.
Nick, a change, by the way. I mean, you've played a lot of snaps, obviously, especially on defense last 3-4 weeks. Are you guys almost happy about the change from Sunday to Monday night?
I don't know. They tell us when to play, we go play. So didn't really think of it in that aspect. Yeah, we'll be ready to play on Monday.
Nick,
Last one?
A criticism of the pass game that I wanted to run by is see if you think it has validity is that you're over-reliant on your receivers winning one-on-one matchups and aren't emphasizing scheming guys open enough. Does that have validity, or what would be the counter-argument?
We think that we are doing things that are necessary for us to do that we can go out and execute at a high level. And I don't know exactly where we rank, and I think it's like 12th in the pass game or something like that. But we know, what we're fortunate on is that we have receivers that can get open one-on-one. There's been places where it's really tough in man coverage situations to scheme a guy open at all times. And we have the luxury of our guys winning on different types of routes. And so when you have that luxury, you use that luxury, and we've been pretty successful with some of those plays that we've had to go about doing that. But again, like that doesn't mean you don't work to scheme a guy open. Like I think there was a play in the Buffalo game where it may have looked like AJ ran a normal slant route, but we picked for him and it was a big explosive play. OZ went and picked for him. So again, you never want to be extreme in anything that you do. And so there's always a balance there, but one benefit that we have, which is why we have a good football team, is that we have guys that can win one-on-one in critical situations.
Are you aware of the player tracking numbers that Jalen is expected?
Yeah.
Completion percentage, he's pretty much at the bottom, and then in terms of completion percentage over expectation, he's first.
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
You don't?
Yeah.
Okay.